Journaling is a habit that I've wanted to pick up for a long time. For years and years, I've heard about the benefits of journaling, but for some reason, I could just never get myself to stick to it for more than a day or two. However, in October of 2022, I actually got fired from my job. And whether you know it or not, when you aren't working all day, you have a lot of free time to sit around, to contemplate life, maybe cry in the shower a little bit. But I decided that I was going to use all of this free time to pick up some good habits. And so one of them was actually starting this YouTube channel, which is awesome. But another one of them was actually journaling. And because I had all this free time, I felt bad not being able to commit 10 or 20 minutes every single day to something like journaling. And so I started. But this time, it actually stuck. And in today's video, I want to talk to you about the 3 ways that I journal and why you should too. So here are the 3 journals. I'm actually going to talk through them in order of complexity or ease of use. And so we're going to start with this guy, go to that middle guy, and then finish on the big book here. And so at the very top of this video, let's talk about the first one, the easiest one, the least complex one, the 5-minute journal. So the 5-minute journal, let's talk about it. It is a guided journal. And I know what you might be thinking, and yes, I was thinking the same thing.
Ugh, that's gross. I don't want to do a guided journal. I'm more sophisticated than that. I want to talk about deep, poetic things.
Great. Get off your high horse. I thought the exact same thing. This thing is amazing. And so if we pop the journal open, we can actually see that it's split into 2 separate sections. A morning section here, but there's also like an evening section at the bottom. But in the morning here, there are 3 prompts. And so the first one is, I am grateful for. The second is, what would make today great? And then the last one is a daily affirmation. And then in the afternoon, we have highlights of the day. And then at the very bottom, what did I learn today? So one learning from the entire day. And so it actually took me a long time to come around on this thing. And if you look back at my old journal, so I'm on my second one of these now. If you look back at the first one that I have, there are entries that I forget to write in. There are actually periods of months of time where I don't write in this thing. And the reason was I thought it was really repetitive. I didn't think it was helping. I found myself writing the same things time and time again. It just became a chore more than something that I actually wanted to do or found use in. And so the question you're probably wondering is, why do I like it? Well, the truth is, the things that I didn't like about it before are actually the reasons that I continue to do it now. So the first thing is that it's incredibly simple, and it's actually very intentionally limiting. Like, there isn't that much room to actually write in this book. And I think that that's a good thing because it's so simple to do, or you actually feel bad for not being able to commit like 2 or 3 minutes. And so as a result, you do it every single day and you build that habit. You build that consistency, and you feel good about it. And so one of the things I really like about this journal is that it forces me to practice gratitude. And so this I am grateful for line here, it's 3 things that you're grateful for. It's really not that much space to write, which is awesome. And it makes me just appreciate how much I have in my life. Every single day that I've been writing this, it's a lot of the same stuff. You know, it is that I'm grateful for my family and my friends. I'm grateful for the warm coffee that I have in the mornings, or the shelter that I have on a cold winter night. You know, these things aren't very complicated, and they're things that we often take for granted. And by actually thinking about these things, reflecting on these things, it makes you much more appreciative of the life that we have and just how good it can be with really simple things. So another section that I really like in this book is the what would make today great section. It's not a lot of space to write in these points. They are intentionally limiting this because it's super easy to have a incredibly long list of to-do items. By forcing yourself to write down 3 things that are gonna make the day good, it forces you to think about what are the most important tasks that you wanna get done, but it also really simplifies what a good day means. Like, if I'm able to get those 3 things done, regardless of what else happens in that day, I have now had a good day. So if I flip back to an old entry here, like yesterday, the 3 things that I wanted to do were to work on my YouTube script, to meditate for 10 or 20 minutes, and to exercise or go on a long walk. Like, I did all of those things in the morning, and regardless of what else happened in that day, that was a good day because I got those things done. And so it takes the pressure off of what a good day needs to be. You don't have to get 10, 20, 50 things done in a day for it to be classified as good. You can just get a few things done, and this journal helps me realize that. Okay, cool. So now we're on to journal type number 2, and that is my daily pages. This is just a Moleskine notebook. It is 100% blank. You know, I always wanted to have a journal like this, but the issue was that I always felt like I was keeping a diary and I was writing entries about how I didn't get asked to the big school dance by the boy I had a crush on, or I was either using journaling prompts as well, and those always felt a bit unnatural because I just wasn't inspired by a lot of the prompts that I was reading. And so this thing never really clicked with me for a long time. There really are two key takeaways that I can give you from my time journaling that I think are going to help you journal as well. One, write every single day, regardless, no matter what. And two, I don't know why I'm doing it like this. Two, be completely honest with yourself on these pages. Be 100% honest on that piece of paper. I think that this blank format right here is one that people are intimidated by. When my friends talk to me about journaling, the one question that they always ask is, what do you talk about in your journal? What do you write about? I've always wanted to journal, but I have no clue what to write. I think you'd be surprised how many times I sit down with this journal in the mornings and feel like I have nothing to write. But regardless, I just start writing and I find myself 3, 4, 5 pages deep into that journal entry, even though I started with absolutely nothing to write. And honestly, if you journal every single day, I think you would find the same happens to you. People think that they have nothing on their minds, but trust me, if you just start writing, your brain is going to take you places that you didn't even know you needed to visit, and it feels so good once you actually get it down onto paper. And the second thing that I mentioned was to be 100% honest with yourself on these pages. That might sound like a stupid thing, like why would you lie to yourself here? But I did it, and I'm sure a ton of other people do it. People think that this notebook is going to get leaked and it's going to be a New York Times #1 bestseller and millions of people are going to read it. And so they write in a certain way, or they write certain things, or they don't want to say certain things. They're not being honest with themselves because either one, they think people are going to read it, or two, they're just scared to say it to themselves. But the whole power of this journal right here, of these blank pages, is for you to be 100% honest with yourselves. Because the way that I view journaling, at least in this sense with the blank pages, is a place for you to really like work out negative or stupid thoughts that you have throughout the day. So by being 100% honest with yourself on the paper, you're going to start to realize that a lot of these thoughts that you're having in your head are just thoughts. And when you actually have to write them down onto a piece of paper and prove to yourself why you think these things, you're gonna realize that a lot of them are actually just your brain playing tricks on you, and you don't really think them, or there's no logical reason for you to think them. And as a result, you feel way better about yourself. It's like this load was lifted off your back. You're often gonna start with a certain, starting point in mind, and maybe you finish that journal entry and that's the thing you talked about, but a lot of the time, I end up on completely different topics. And that's okay, because that is just your brain emptying onto the page. And whether or not you realized it, that is exactly what you needed to write about on that day. So don't get too caught up on having a cohesive story in this book. Don't get too caught up on what you're writing. Really just write and let your brain take you wherever you want to go. And so now we're moving on to my third type of journaling. This is my big black book. It is kind of like a commonplace book. I actually got this idea from Clark Kegley. I hope I'm saying that right. Clark, if you're watching this, hello. But basically it's divided into 6 main sections, and then there's a front and a back cover. I'll quickly walk you through what some of them are, but this front cover is really just like main quotes, main ideas from the year, your name, personality type, kind of some stoic memento mori stuff, how much time you have until you're 80. And then on the back cover, there's actually some goals and stuff. So, there's work, rest, play. I have a lot of stuff on YouTube here, some saving stuff, kind of my dry months. I have a goal of 4 months of no drinking. And then, so you can kind of just keep these things on the front and back cover. Makes them really accessible for you to see throughout the year. But then as you dig into the book, there's actually some sections. So the first section I have in here, and these can be really whatever you want, is like a business section. So these have a lot to do with my work, but also like YouTube videos, ideas, these sorts of things. I have a personal development section. So these are any sorts of quotes or ideas I have from like people that I admire in the personal development space. I have a section on like the mind. And so this is like any sort of meditative stuff, any sort of philosophical stuff that I have from books that I've read. I have a section on health. And so these are just any sort of health tips that I have, or anything to do with my physical being. And then I have kind of like a freedom brain dump section. So this is just like anything that doesn't fit into these categories. really fun section, but really fun book in general to write in. And it's categorized by year. So this is my 2023 year of this book, and it's my first year. So we're figuring all this out, as we go along. And so the reason that I really like this notebook and I liked the idea of this was because I used to have a bunch of ideas scattered throughout different notebooks, or maybe a notepad on my phone, a notepad on my computer, whatever it was. There was no cohesion to these things. And so if I wanted to come and revisit those ideas, I had no clue where to find them. There wasn't really any organization. But also having everything siloed like that, having everything in different notebooks, I became very focused on keeping them organized, and not necessarily in the good way. I was more focused on the actual organization of the notebook than I was on journaling itself or writing down these ideas. And so by kind of consolidating them all into one book, it not only keeps things more organized, but it also just allows me to not worry so much about the format, and just kind of get things onto paper. As soon as they come to me, I can just grab this book and write them in. And you know what? It acts as a really good time capsule as well. Like, imagine in 10, 20 years, when I can look back at 2023 and see what things were important to me, see the goals that I set, see the quotes that I really liked and the movies that I watched that I fell in love with, and all these sorts of things. It's going to be a really great time capsule for me to look back on. And I think there's something really important about having that in the physical world versus having it caught up on a notepad in your computer. There's something a bit romantic about that. And so those are my 3 ways of journaling. That's really all I had to share with you guys today. These have been the formats that have been most effective for me. This does not mean that they're going to be the same for you. Journaling is something that I've worked on and off for a long time now, and I'm only now finding my groove with things. And so if there's one key takeaway for you to take away from this entire video, it's not one specific thing that I said. You don't have to follow my exact regimen. Experiment with things. Buy certain journals, try certain other journaling techniques, but keep with it and try to find the thing that works best for you, because at the end of the day, the important thing isn't how you manage your thoughts. It really is that you are just getting them down onto a piece of paper, in whatever way benefits you. Other than that, if you guys enjoyed the video, please make sure to drop it a like, subscribe to my channel if you're new, and also hop onto my channel for some other content just like this. I really appreciate you guys watching. I will see you in the next one, and until next time, stay curious.